Since their bulldozers have to work 24 hours a day, the driving gear broke. Imported parts are not available in Pakistan, so the Smart Master used steel pipes for splicing. After their simple processing, such a large driving gear can be completely repaired. How did they do it? Today we came to the Peshawar repair shop to find out. The driving gear that was broken at the root is the protagonist that needs to be repaired this time. Obviously, such a large mechanical part cannot meet the use requirements by gluing. In order to restore the original strength of the driving gear, the master plans to use seamless steel pipes for embedding and splicing. This can not only ensure the concentricity of the gear, but also prevent the cracked gear end from breaking easily. After the master carefully measured the two, he quickly determined the repair plan for this time. Since the steel pipe needs to be embedded in the inner wall tightly, the scraper needle should be used to measure before the wheel processing to prevent the larger gear end from being out of center with the window claw plate. After continuous tapping and adjustment by the wolf head, the first step is to cut the rough end surface flat. This can ensure that the angle of the gear end is not tilted. After the master synchronously processes the outer groove, the inner diameter of the gear end is compared with the outer diameter of the steel pipe to find the error, which is convenient for the master to expand the inner wall to avoid excessive cutting and gaps in the splicing. The measurement of the card return can show the master's rigor, which is also the example of their top repair shop. The steel pipe is embedded close to the wolf head. It is not enough to knock. The master also needs to process threads on the expanded surface, but it can eliminate the offset of the connection. The overall strength is greatly improved, which is the craftsmanship of their 8th level front bow. If the steel pipe in the gear end can also be threaded, the master must use the inner diameter of the tooth tool as a reference and carefully process the scrap steel pipe. This kind of rough end face cut by ant corrosion must be completely cut flat, and then the surface is cut and reduced with a lathe. The data is the key to the embedding of the steel pipe. After the master's precise strength, in order to avoid errors in the two thread gauges, it is necessary to test the connection with the gear end. When the rotation and tightening are very smooth, the first stage of processing is over. The thread alone cannot be completely locked. Therefore, the master must weld at the gap. Even if the torque of the driving gear is large, it can ensure that there will be no risk of loosening in the future. This is why the master boldly uses this method. The master simply modified the welding bar. The gear end needs to be connected for the reserved steel pipe. The first time to process the thread gauge, with the experience of the previous 2 times, the processing of the thread gauge is also progressing smoothly. Therefore, the thread gauge is not used for testing. Our 8-level previous skills can also be done with confidence. Considering that the additional steel pipe needs to be embedded in the flange end, the master must first use the gourd to fix it to ensure that the rotation of the flange will not cause the scraper to jump. Only in this way can the cross-section be cut more smoothly, considering that the expansion of the inner wall needs to be combined with the outer diameter of the steel pipe. The data of the two must be compared before processing. Only in this way can the force of the turning tool be determined. After repeated measurements with the caliper, the inner diameter of the flange end is already qualified. Then the inner thread is processed with the help of the tang knife. The repair of the pipe this time is mainly based on the thread. Every cutting is testing the master's skills. It is necessary to ensure that the data of the 3 are completely consistent. After all the docking threads are processed to be qualified, the final 3-stage docking can be carried out. Obviously, this weight cannot be condensed by manpower. Therefore, the master has to use the high-end 48-inch pipe to twist the gear end separately. It was repaired by splicing last time, but it can also exert a strong force. When the grooves reserved by the 2 are completely fitted, the gap can be filled with the help of welding rods until the gap on the surface is completely covered by the welding bar. The pipe welding bar does not affect the slot of the gear. In order to make the surface more beautiful, the master also needs to cut and grind the welding bar. Can the drive gear be restored to the factory settings? This broken bulldozer drive gear was spliced into 3 sections using a steel pipe.